Schofield's Flowers Social Hour, Best of 2020, Volume 1. Happy holidays.
I picked up a Hibiki Harmony, which I think we had last time.
Yep.
And then I had this single malt Yochi, which is great. This is a Nika product, and this is a Suntory Hibiki. So these are great summer whiskeys. The non-age statement that they do is fantastic. You know, again, a lot of the purists will sort of turn their nose up a little bit at it, but I like it. It's great. But if you haven't noticed, back in October of last year, with the tariffs that Trump put on, and there was a bunch of tariffs going on with back and forth between the EU and the United States, and specifically with Airbus, there was a retaliatory tariff against Scotch. And so if you haven't noticed, the price of Scotch, which I tend to gravitate to more, all went up about 25%.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So the Balvenie 12 Doublewood, which is kind of like a daily for me, at about 50 a bottle, was coming in around 60, 65 a bottle.
Oh my God. That's
as a result of that, I actually I got a little bit more into some of the bourbons, which I haven't really tried. So I've been kind of dabbling a little bit with some bourbons. One of them, Peerless, which I don't have today. I was actually going to bring that and then opted not to, because this other one really grabbed my attention. So what I'm here to talk about a little bit today, and we can do it, is this, and this will kind of go with you, so I think you'll dig this. This is the Old Forester 1920. This is a bourbon during the sort of the Prohibition style bourbon. So it's coming in at 115 proof. It is fantastic. It's one of the smoothest bourbons. It's got all the good flavors you want. It's got some burnt kind of brown sugar. You've got some chocolate. You got a little bit of banana on it. It's just a lovely gem for about $50 a bottle. And on top of that, again, not subject to the tariffs. So, I think I've kind of been more into the bourbons, and then frankly, this other bottle I've kind of sort of dabbled into. This is a whole nother show if you want, but I've been kind of getting into the mezcals a little bit. So that's a whole nother area of whatever, but
that's our next podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to make sure we're staying liquored up, every week, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like I've got a lot of friends who are doing well. We talk, but no, this Old Forester is great. So I will pause there. If you've got questions, if you want to ask a little bit, you want to tell me what you've got going on, that's what I've been doing. So.
Yeah, I mean, Old Forester, I've had it before. My son's become a really big bourbon specialist lately, so we might have to get Stefan on. He's just been going on a rampage buying different types of bourbon, and that's what I've been drinking lately. I mean, I just picked up this bottle of McKenna. Have you guys seen McKenna before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's won a lot of awards, and of course I have my own glass too with my face on it. So,
and it's also bottled in bond, I noted too, which is got a lot of different.
So, I know what bottled in bond is.
I don't. What is that?
Stephen, do you know what that signifies?
I know. You know what? I don't want to do all the talking. Why don't you?
I know you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on it, but my understanding is it was put into place when the 70s. It had to do with some sort of government act, and then it was because whiskeys were basically becoming cheaper quality, not cost, and it was the way for certain regulations to be put into law that they had to make to be bottled in bond. So when you get a bottle that is bottled in bond, certain things happen to it. And I could be wrong, but I think it's minimum of 2 years aged. there's like a certain person that can only do it.
Yeah, it was kind of in response to a lot of the sort of additives and the fillers and sort of what they were adding to it to just try to get liquor out and make it cheaper, right? I mean, they were adding things from molasses to tobacco juice and formaldehyde, just like crap in there to kind of help enhance color. I don't know if it was enhanced flavor or whatever, but that that the bottled and bond distillers, they had to be distilled by the same master distiller. There's had to be at least 4 years actually.
Okay, 4 years.
In a federally bonded warehouse. So that means that they had to close it up and make sure that it wasn't, that was only going into that warehouse was that juice. It also had to be bottled at 100 proof or more. So it's been, you can find it today. You're going to pay a little bit more sometimes for it, but I mean, I don't know. I like it. I like the Prohibition style stuff that they were doing. This old Forester 1920 is fantastic for that. I'd highly recommend it. The one I was also talking about too, not bottled and bond, but not a Prohibition style, is that Peerless, which you can check out on my Whiskey Spy Instagram. There's a review out there for Peerless, so I would look at that. That's a recent one, so you don't have to scroll too far down there.
I've learned from drinking the bourbons that I guess I like a sweeter tasting, whiskey. And what I found that this McKenna was just fantastic. I mean, I never even heard of the company. It's been around since 1855. It gives a barrel number and
like a batch
barrel
number?
Yeah, like a 12, yeah, like literally a backstory. So barrel number 1922, and then it's like barreled 12909. Look at that.
And I think that has to do with the bottled and bond, that they have to put that on the label as part of their requirements, because not all bourbons do that, but there are specific things to be bourbon, unlike other whiskeys.
Well, I love this. I mean, it's 10-year aged, and it's single barreled, and I mean they've been winning for the last 2 years in a row up in San Francisco as one of the top whiskeys. So I'd love to reach out to them and get them on our podcast, and have them join the three of us actually, and learn a little bit about bottled and bond, right? That would be something fun to learn more about. But and then I've also been really digging. Well, it's interesting. My kid bought me a bottle of Basil Hayden, and I just destroyed this bottle here, trying to open up because I couldn't get it off here. I'm like, let me at it, right? But wow, it's. I didn't like it at first. I didn't like it at all. And then, one day I was like, man, I've been drinking all this stuff here, and this whole bottle's sitting there. Well, it's not a whole bottle anymore, because now all of a sudden I acquired a taste for it. It's like, now I've got very little. But have you guys, what do you think of this Basil Hayden?
I don't know that I've actually reviewed it. I think I had the last time I think on the Whiskey Spy Instagram, I think I had a number of years ago. I think that's been around for like now. My Instagram has been around for like 4 years. So it was early on, but I did I got a cocktail made from the Basil Hayden. And I think that's where I kind of went. But I've had it a little bit. It's not one that I typically buy. Not that I wouldn't. I just I kind of get enamored with different things and at where I shop, and then all of a sudden I end up buying some of the usual suspects as the dailies. But it just doesn't pop up on my radar as much, although I see it. Yeah, no, I'll have to check that out. I gave it to somebody though for a gift. Now that I'm thinking about it, because he liked it, and I thought, okay, you know what, I'll that sounds like a good thing. I got him one of the I think there's a Basil Hayden Reserve or something else. I got him. So
okay.
Stephen, you mentioned having it as a cocktail. I know, my go-to always usually is going to be neat, but I do love a good old fashioned or a Manhattan. What are some cocktails you've been enjoying lately?
Wow, I was, I'm kind of more of a purist, and so it's funny because like some friends of mine, and we'll talk about that. They're very into the cocktails. And they make cocktails, and they have the full bar setups and all of the mixers and all the different. When you go and you drop another $40 on Saint Germain, lavender liqueur, it's fantastic, but it's a very niche thing, right? Um, I tend to go more neat. Sometimes I throw it on a big ice cube. I do like whiskey and scotch kind of chilled sometimes. Although I mostly drink it neat. But in terms of cocktails, I love old fashions and Manhattans and all that. But I think I kind of been using a lot of gin for cocktails. I've been making, as I mentioned, the Saint Germain. I've been making a great cocktail called a Hot Charlotte, which a buddy of mine turned me on to, which is really it's just gin. Usually Hendrix thing is what they prefer.
Yep.
So some gin, some Saint Germain, a little bit of lemon juice, some Tabasco sauce to taste,
Huh.
and then with some muddled cucumber in it, and then a cucumber. It's a great Sunday afternoon barbecue kind of warm up cocktail.
My buddy, my old partner Jeff Suey, loved that drink, but his was a little more pure. It was just Hendrix, and it was Hendrix, and then the Saint Germain. So it
Mhm.
was like two shot. What was it? One shot to two shots of
Who
Saint
shot the
Germain.
sheriff?
Yeah, who shot the sheriff? Whatever. But it was fantastic. And then he had a slice of lemon, or a slice if he had a cucumber. Was it cucumber, or what else goes with it?
Well, lemon and cucumber definitely work with it.
Yeah.
Um,
So, and it was a cucumber normally, but if we were in a bar, they normally only had the twist.
It's funny that you say that, you're kind of just going to make your version of it, because from what I was reading and in my kind of history correspondence learning for what we're doing today, is there's a lot of very loose history. There's no one, this drink was made by this person at this bar, in this time. It's a lot of bits and pieces of variations of something similar kind of coming about, and then eventually it all came together and it was just kind of a known thing. So kind of looking at it, the first documented time of a cocktail was in actually 1806, and a newspaper was responding to a reader who asked for them to define what a cocktail was. And they responded that spirits, bitter, water, and sugar, which is essentially an old fashioned.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So then in 1862, Jerry Thomas' Bartender's Guide, How to Mix Drinks was published. And in there, they had a recipe for the old-fashioned Holland gin cocktail, which the recipe looked very similar to an old-fashioned that you would know today, but it instead used gin. So again, a very loose interpretation. This is what they were making. And you got your McKenna, which is a great
I like
little whiskey there for you.
Yeah, I like the sweetness in the McKenna, so I figured, with the old fashioned here.
Yeah, and actually, I'll talk about a little bit later about using bourbon and rye and kind of how the original way, or the listed way, was originally.
Mhm.
But then in 1895, Modern American Drinks by George Capillare, gonna just defer on that one, has an old-fashioned recipe which was listed as a lump of sugar with a little water, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, which I know you were using, a small piece of ice, a lemon peel, and a jigger of whiskey to be mixed with a small bar spoon and leave the spoon in the glass. So you would be served with a little bar spoon in your glass of your old fashioned, which is a little different, I guess. I'm not sure what the reason was. I don't know if it was to dilute at your own desire or mix the sugar in more. Some people like their sugar a little less dissolved. You get kind of more of a granular taste, and other people like it where it's well mixed. And then later, there's a version of the story of how a old fashioned came about, where someone at a bar in New York City, went up after Prohibition and said, "I'd like a cocktail the old fashioned way," which was alluding to wanting something with bitters, water, sugar, and a liquor. But oftentimes during that era, it was just called the cocktail or a whiskey cocktail. And for the most part, all the bars had their own house version of this cocktail. It'd vary from bar to bar and be very regional. So, an example could be if you were in New Orleans, maybe they're making you a Sazerac or a version of a Sazerac. You could be in Chicago and maybe they're using Irish whiskey and they're throwing in a little grenadine or something of that nature. So it was very loose on what the actual drink was. It's not like today where you can go to a bar and order an old fashioned and, very generally you're going to get the same drink.
Right.
In most cases, it's been listed that originally it was made with a rye because it was spicier. And since basically this is a liquor with a little bit of sugar, they use the rye to balance out the sugar and the sweetness of the drink versus maybe using a bourbon, which tends to be a little sweeter. But again, it's all been interchangeable based on preference. Recipes vary from bar to bar, but it is a little more standardized now. And some of the other variances that I've noticed over the years of the history is the type of syrup that they used. So, or sugar, I should say. Some of them they're using, like granulated sugar. They're using Demerara sugar. Some are using them as, syrups. And so just a lot of similarities, but a little variances that each recipe offers. So it's a very customizable, or I guess in our terms, a bespoke drink, because you can tinker with little things here and there to craft it to your flavor. Kind of the last thing that I saw about the history of it was in the mid-century or the Mad Men era, drinks got much sweeter. And so during that time, what was born is I think what a lot of people think of an old fashioned, which is when you would put the cherries and the lime at the bottom, muddle it, then you would add your whiskey and ice and have more of a fruitier flavored drink. And then I guess with the more of the revival of speakeasies and Prohibition era cocktails, kind of gotten away with it and went back to what would be considered the classic, which is going to be simply your bitters, sugar. Some call for a little bit of soda water, which if you're using like a sugar cube will help dissolve that sugar down and break down the cube, but not all places require or call for it. And then 2 ounces of your whiskey of choice and some ice. And then most call for a orange peel, but
This is the Get Shagged podcast, so we can go into those avenues.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did it become Shagged, and then how did the name come about?
I was actually talking with a friend about this last night. When I was finishing up that first year of law school, it was during finals weeks, which get really heavy and intense, and you're having to draw and sketch and do all these, projects. And basically you're pulling all-nighters in order to get them done. So I finally had a chance to lie down in between classes, and I took like a 30-minute nap. But when I kind of laid down, I saw like a shaggy bag, like a vision. And it's like kind of when, you know, when you're a writer or anything creative, or, you know, it could be anything.
Yeah.
If you have your mind going 24/7 on something, and then you kind of shut off the conscious part of it, the subconscious can sometimes shine through. And I think that's basically what happened. And I got up and I drew the bag that day, and I came up with the logo right then. And I was like, oh, it was a shag bag. And yeah, just kind of, you know, it took me a few years to actually like you know, started and everything. But yeah, that was the initial concept.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I think it really formed out of my love of the 1960s and that whole movement, Summer of Love, and, you know, when there were so many conflicts going on in our country, but people were also finding a time for like peace and love, and the music that came along with it. And I mean, when I got into fashion, I just really wanted to do something different that nobody else was really doing. And so I think those two things paired together is kind of like where that was born of my subconscious.
And here you are right again, full circle. We're right back into the 60s, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what would you say has probably been the hardest part about owning your own business?
The hardest part, just because I am a natural creative, it means that sometimes my mind doesn't compute numbers as easily, maybe. So it would be kind of figuring out that sweet balance between, you know, what you're putting into it, and then, you know, balancing that kind of stuff out. But I feel like as a startup, you're always going to try to keep, like, you know, staying above ground, but, you know, it's going to take you a couple years. But other than that, I mean, we're still good. We're still profitable. So yeah.
Well, and
but that has been an issue.
So now that you're here and we've had this pandemic and everything, how did you shift?
So with everything going on and everyone kind of staying in their homes, I shifted into home goods and started pillows and blankets and stuff. And when we came out with the pillows, they sold out that day. So that was a really great feeling. And that kind of showed us which direction to be going in during quarantine.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's great. And the blankets are fantastic. How did they do too?
They did well. We had that, you know, beautiful shoot, but it was like more so, I think that people can grasp the pillows because it's already kind of like a 3D fabric, as you can tell. Yeah. Once it has something behind it, then it just, you know, really, it draws the attention and people, just want it.
Yeah, I have a pillow. You just, once you have it in your arms, you don't want to let go. You go everywhere with it, right?
Yeah, the orb pillow.
The orb pillow.
Yeah.
Similar to your Schofield pillows, you know?
I gave those finally. I auctioned those off. I had pillows with my face on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we gave them away to a guy. I auctioned them off because my wife was like, you don't need these pillows. I said, yeah, but they're great. And I auctioned them off on Valentine's Day, and it was hilarious, you know. And some dude won them, and he goes, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I says, give them to a girl. My face is on them. I'm telling you, dude, you'll really get, you'll get shagged.
Yeah. Too funny.
Yeah, but it's funny. So no, it's great. And then and so now you got the hats going. And what's the inspiration behind the hats and this jacket? How fly is this jacket, huh?
That's a rad jacket.
Thank you.
Hats first, but then she's got a great story about Jack White too.
Oh yeah,
which is fantastic. So talk about the hats first, and then.
So the hats actually came about last week. I recently invested in a sewing machine, something that I haven't done in like 10 years, which was sewing. And the initial intent was to just kind of get things going. So, you know, get prepped for the holidays and everything like that. And then I was like, well, let me just try out a bucket hat. And then now I've made like 5 or 6, anyway, but a lot more. These were just product samples that I did last week. So, you know, I think those are going to probably be a big hit for holiday season and fall.
So are they a limited edition, you think? Will they be?
They're definitely limited edition right now, just because I'm also with the pandemic and everything that went that's been happening. That's another reason why I kind of stopped production on the jackets and everything like that, and started focusing on selling what I have in stock, because the last thing I want to do right now is create more waste. And so that's why I was like, well, home goods are going to sell. Like that's, but basically, yeah, they will be limited edition because I'm working with everything that I've had in stock already, which varies in colors and patterns and, like anything that was originally used for the lining of a jacket.
Oh, wow.
Like that.
Beautiful.
That's great.
They'll be going into the hats. So.
And then, I'm going to grab one of these blankets, Maddie. They're just wonderful.
Yeah. And for the most part, everything, of course, handcrafted, but also hand dyed.
How nice is that?
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
That's awesome.
Yeah. My niece actually had them on. Had this, like a blanket like this for when we had the van, and it could not have gone better. It was really a fun shoot and everything. Yeah. But with winter coming too, this is like, oh my God, it's so cozy.
It's bright
right?
colors. It's fun. One of my, I've had somebody who turned into a friend, been tie-dyeing the shag now for a couple years. She goes by Tie-Dye Queen. She lives out in the desert and just basically like does really well for her own business, but I was contracting out tie-dye and stuff. And so they're just kind of magical. She does a great job.
So tell us this Jack White story.
Well, basically, I went to a record signing and I had on my jacket and my bag, and it was kind of like they were filing you through really quickly, but it was actually for the raconteurs. And I said something to Brendan, his bandmate who was sitting next to him, and had to get close because it was so loud in there. And I leaned back, and Jack was like, nice jacket and bag. And he realized that it was like a set because I had on my fanny pack too. And then the jacket, I was like, oh my God. I was like, thanks so much. I was like, we'd really love to do something with Third Man, something like that, which is his record label. Do you mind if I give you a card? And so he was like, yeah. And so spoke with his manager for a little bit, who's also very nice, and ended up sending him a jacket with Third Man Records on the back. And now I heard it's in their archives and display.
Ties to the mob.
I got it. And my on July 18th of 2017 is when I was there looking at that. Opened in 1950. Word on the street is this was developed by Bugsy Siegel's pit boss at the Flamingo.
Huh.
So there you go. Red leather boots, velvet paisley wall covering, low-level red lighting throughout, dirty martini, and some introspection.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Yeah. So
we still have some places in Vegas that still have the banquettes and have that old Vegas-y gangster feel.
I went to a bachelor party at the Golden Steer one time.
Yeah, that's right down the street from me.
That was iconic, iconic bachelor party and iconic Vegas all rolled in.
Oh yeah.
Jonathan, what's the place that I go to? You go to, it's in the strip mall you mentioned, and you go in the back door and you open up the little sliding glass.
You like Capo's.
Yeah, I love
Capo's.
Yeah.
The food is great.
Food's great. It's like it's total mobster. You walk in, you park, and you go in the back door. And then you stand, and then they'll open it up. There'll be there's a buzzer, and then all of a sudden this picture moves to the side, and it's like, what do you want? And it's like, oh, I got a reservation. And the guy's like, what's your name? And then you tell him your name, and the guy goes, you're not on the list, and he just slams the fucking window shut. And you're like, what? What the fuck? And then he opens it up, and then he opens up the door right away before you walk out. He's like, get in here, like that. And you walk in.
Until I went there with you, I didn't know they had anything other than pizza. I used to always get pizza from there.
Oh my God, the place is fantastic. I love it. You had that dinner with us when we were there. We did our podcast there.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I love that place. And then they got the lounge singer, and he's singing away, and Sinatra, and you name it, Sinatra and Dino and whoever else sang, Sammy Davis Jr. back then.
Another fun one I was at a couple of years ago was the Golden Tiki.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if
that
you've been
guy's
over
a
there.
riot.
Yeah, that place.
Brandon's hilarious. He's hilarious.
I
That's
don't
in
know, Brandon, but
Chinatown.
yeah, you're literally in this like strip mall, just all these Asian markets, and it's got kind of a Asian theme outside, just says Golden Tiki, and then when you go inside, it's a huge space that just brings you back to kind of the 50s rockabilly kind of
Yeah.
feeling. It
One of
has
the
this
places,
giant clam that you can
Regenerate.
take a photo in.
Oh, did you see all the oddities that he's got there?
I didn't see all of them. I
Oh,
saw a
it's like
few. We
Ripley's
walked
Believe It or
around.
Not.
Yeah, no, it had some pretty cool stuff. And the cool thing I thought was because it's Vegas, it's open 24 hours and you can gamble while you're sitting at the bar.
Yeah. Not now you can't.
Right.
one of the,
Well,
one of the
no, I'll
best
tell
places
you,
one of the best places in Vegas I have been though is Herbs and Rye. If
That
you
was
have-
my first date with my girlfriend was at Herbs and Rye, and they just opened a second restaurant now in closer to where I live at Las Vegas Country Club, which was the first golf course that Mo Dalitz from the Cleveland mob built here in Vegas. It's called Cleaver, and we went there for dinner 2 nights ago to Cleaver, and they decided to extend their happy hour from 5 in the afternoon till 3 in the morning. So everything
Herbs and Rye, you get
that
there
has,
for the late seating, and it's
they
unbelievable.
said
Wow.
they got tired of people rushing to finish their dinner and get there in time, and with COVID, they just said they were going to make it a happy day, and everything
night.
is
Day and night
phenomenal.
happy hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, cocktails were $5, and the porterhouse is like $40, but it's huge instead of $80. It's like we had the double pork chops for $25, and it was just phenomenal. And it's got great banquettes, and it's a dark place. They got pictures of Bill Murray all over the walls. It's really a cool place. It's called Cleaver. It used to be Ruth's Chris on Paradise.
Oh yeah,
So,
Yeah.
but I can share my favorite Frank Sinatra story with you, if I may. If I may.
Please.
If I may. And it's a Chicago story. Sonny King and Blackie Hunt said to me, Johnny, we love guys from Chicago because they have the as the middle name. Frankie the Nose, Willie the Broom. Willie the Broom is Jilly's son.
Oh yeah,
Jilly's
we would go to Jilly's in the '80s, and that was like we would go there after Faces, and Faces closed at 4. We go to Jilly's at 4:10, and then of course you needed another baggie of party materials, and then you'd be up till like get out of Jilly's and it was sunrise, and it was like
and then you go to the
I'm like,
you go to the underground. We'd go to the Underground Wonder Bar.
Yeah,
that was our last stop, the Wonder Bar. But here's my favorite Sinatra story. My friend Lou the Volcano Valpeno worked on Chicago Fest. Lou the Volcano.
Sounds like a wrestler.
Lou the Volcano Valpeno worked on Chicago Fest, which was a spinoff of Milwaukee Fest. And Lou was from Milwaukee. And it took him 2.5 years to book Mr. Sinatra at Navy Pier in Chicago. And they spent the whole night decorating his trailer with red carpet and Dom P and beluga caviar. And at the time, Mr. Sinatra had use of the Harrah's jet. And the first question is, where's Mr. Sinatra going to land? Miggs, Midway, or O'Hare? Mr. Sinatra says he'll land at Miggs. He lands at Miggs. Next question is, how are we going to get Mr. Sinatra to the trailer? Car, boat, chopper. Mr. Sinatra says he'll take the car. They take the car and they usher him right into the trailer. My friend Lou the Volcano is waiting outside, and he says, can I have my picture taken with Mr. Sinatra? And they said, no, but you can meet him. They said, well, I know I'm going to meet him. I've got a check in my back pocket with his name on it for $250 large. They said, well, wait out here. So he's waiting, and the door creaks open, and he says, kid, Mr. S would like a package of Luckies and a can of chicken and stars. True story. So he's got to go to the 7-Eleven and get a package of Lucky Strike cigarettes and a can of Campbell's soup, chicken and stars. Goes back to the trailer. The door opens up. He hands him the Lucky Strikes and Campbell's soup. Says, kid, wait out here. Then 5 minutes goes by and they said, come on in. My friend Lou the Volcano reaches in his back pocket and pulls out a gold business card carrying case with the city of Chicago emblem on it. And says, on behalf of the Honorable Mayor Jane M. Byrd and the great city of Chicago, we'd like to present you with this. And Mr. Sinatra takes a look at it and he throws it across the room, says, what the fuck am I going to do with this? Get business cards that say Frank Sinatra, singer? And then they took the picture. And true story.
What a
And
dick. What a
they got
dick,
the
right?
picture. Frank Sinatra, singer. What the fuck am I going to do with this?
For an iPhone. Hey, everyone.
$4,000 worth of equipment, and we're using an iPhone.
$40,000 worth of equipment. We're using an iPhone because it looked better. Right? Anyways, glad I bought those new lenses. But anyways, hey everyone, it's Scope here from yeah, exactly. It's Scope here from Schofield's Flowers, and we're here out at well, go ahead, Freddie. You can tell them who the fuck you are.
You don't even know where you're at. I'll let you know where you're at. We're at the Whiskey Spy residence for a campfire, camp out podcast chronicle.
Fireside chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, with our guest Stephen Bridges, who's
Hey, everybody.
invited us to his new place. And Steve, where are we actually? I have no idea. I feel like I've landed. I mean, coming here from LA was like going to China.
We're in Costa de Casa.
Kona de Casa.
Costa de Casa.
So we're in Kona de Casa, Mexico.
Coto.
Corona de Casa.
Yeah. Usually, it actually means hunting lodge.
Oh, it does?
Wow.
So it used to be a hunting lodge.
Oh, wow.
A lot of little stories. We can get into that.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
About
First off, what do we got here? Give me something to pour.
All right.
So we
Keep going all
got
day.
well, why don't we start you out with some Uncle Near? So you may remember this bottle from last time.
Yep.
Unopened. Now
Yep.
opened on. Obviously, I've
Very much since
Sample.
drunken.
drunk.
We just recorded last night too, so that's incredible.
pour a
Awesome.
little bit of that for you. Would you like an ice cube in it?
Not yet. I'm going to try it neat. And then, Freddie,
Friday,
what do you have?
So we talked Bottled and Bond on the first episode.
Yep.
We talked some Old Forester on the first episode. And so I did some research and actually was mistaken on the Bottled and Bond. I was mixing up a couple different stories. So Bottled and Bond actually was in 1897, as by this bottle here that I'll talk about. What I was confusing it with was in the 60s and 70s when basically children of the Mad Men era grew up. They were rebelling against their parents. They didn't want to be kind of drinking the same things they're drinking, and that's when vodka and other clear spirits became popular. And so the story that I confused Bottled and Bond with was how
I might
small
beg to differ.
batching.
I think Russians have been drinking vodka
Yes,
before then.
Of course. That's all they drink.
Yeah.
But
With nothing. It's
too.
sort of weird. You want vodka?
yeah.
Yeah, all right. And do you have any olives?
But-
Anyways.
Yeah, but so the story I confused it with was then whiskey fell out of favor, and so then they started making flavors to compete with vodka. They even made a clear, not a moonshine, but a clear whiskey, and obviously that's not going to go anywhere.
But most whiskey
Start clear.
They always have color added.
Right. So what eventually ended up happening, though, that led to the whiskey revival was they came out with a marketing term called small batch, which, like I think everything else we've talked about, is very diverse. What small batch means at one distillery could be completely different.
Vastly different.
So what I decided to do is get more into the Bottled and Bond. So I bought myself a Old Forester 1897 Bottled and Bond.
Nice.
So this is part of the Whiskey Row series, which you have the Prohibition.
Prohibition, yeah. So I'm anxious to try that. That's
And
a
so
new
this
one.
is named after the year the Bottled and Bond became an act. So that's how I was able to figure out what the hell.
1897.
Yeah.
So Schofield's Flowers started in 1896.
And in 1804 you were born?
Yes, I was born in 1804.
Yes.
Live and kicking.
Yeah, I'm live and kicking, right? Oh, God. So, what am I drinking? I'm drinking some...
Well, we have an Uncle Nearest, and so we
Yes,
went into
yeah.
a long... we had a great... I'm sorry, the gentleman from last time.
Jonathan
Oh,
Scott.
Jonathan Scott.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had it, yeah.
Oh, my God.
He had some great knowledge with this.
Yeah.
Went into a whole cool thing with Uncle
Jack
Nearest and
Daniels.
Jack Daniels
Yeah,
and that.
yeah.
So,
No,
it's its own country.
Wow.
And part of the reason it's its own country, well, it's because A, they don't want to be part of the Commonwealth, right? They don't want to be, but they share a lot back and forth between the countries. But
Is it an
part of it is
island?
because it's an island.
Okay.
It's in between basically Dublin and Liverpool.
Okay.
But road race 37 miles. Basically the
Beautiful.
But the length of the island is about 40 miles. It's about 18 miles wide, 40 miles long or whatever. But they have 2 races out of the year. So they do, in June is when they do the big boys super bikes. Like the guys are hitting 260 and stuff. And I mean, it's just.
And you're
it's
going
like,
through a town. But it
is
the
literally through a
boomerang
town.
turn.
Well, and that's partly why they don't want to be part of the common, because they would literally make them give up. And part of the EU, they'd make them give up that race. They're like,
Right.
no.
Yeah. I mean, guys have gone straight into a wall at 200 miles an hour.
They've gone off the side of a
through
cliff.
the wall.
Yeah, and through the next
You
wall.
can't
You just keep going.
There's a
You
guy
can't go through those walls.
Yeah, you
They're just solid stone. They're Hadrian's walls. I mean, they're this thick.
yeah.
Jesus.
And
There's
I mean,
grass
there's
growing on
at
the top
least
of
2
them.
to
So it's
3
like a
guys.
bug on a windshield.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah,
it's just you stop. But the
there's-
thing, and they put these pads up that aren't going to do anything. But I think it's just really more like a course marker, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that I prepped for this. I decided to go, and I went for August. And in August they have the TT, so it's the tourist trophy. So the Alaman TT is what you hear, or the TT races. But you hear so in August it's the Festival of Motorcycle. So there's kind of 2 things that go on, and it's over the course of like a couple of weeks, maybe 3 with a practice week and whatever. But or a month rather. But you've got the Isle of Man race, and then that's 1 week, and then the week after is the Manx Grand Prix, which is another race. So most people leave after the Isle of Man, but the Manx is pretty cool too. It's all the same course and everything. But it's but in August it's the Festival of Motorcycling. So it's
Is
the
it
TT.
canceled this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the TT Classic. And so Classic, it's older bikes and some of the more senior riders that aren't doing the other one. But you've got a lot of people that will drop down and ride their classic motorcycles or older motorcycles within this. So you're not going to go as fast. You might be hitting speeds of 180 to 200 in some of the straights, not like the bigger bikes. But it's just as exciting. It's a bigger crowd. They open up the course. You can ride. So they race from usually practice and stuff is around, or the warm-up ride start around 10 a.m. and they race until about 6. So, but in between that, or sometimes like 3, and then they'll take a break, and then they have a practice later on the night. But you can ride the course throughout.
It's
you
gotta check it out tonight, or tomorrow when you're, when you're sitting on your computer. Anybody else?
When you got like 18 minutes, you can get yourself
and what's
behind
the country called?
It's the Isle of Man.
Isle of Man.
Isla of Man.
Isle, ISLE, Isle of Man.
Isle of Man.
Okay.
Isle of Man.
Cool.
But so actually the country, what does it do, right? I mean, that's the big race. But they're from an industry perspective, they do a lot of fiber optic work and telecom kind of stuff. They produce a lot of things, and then they also do a lot of stuff to support kind of online betting.
Oh.
So that's another big industry there.
But you got to get over there on the ferry, right?
So we flew from Liverpool. It's like a 25-minute flight. You just drop right in.
Oh, okay.
We got off the plane. We walked like 15 minutes. We ended up at Jason Griffith's Motorcycles, which is a great shop. Jason Griffith's is sort of he's a racer. He was on the podium 14 times with never a win.
Wow. Oh my
But
God.
he has this great motorcycle shop. He does a bunch of stuff with Metzler tires and all that. Nicest guy in the world.
I just got Metzler's today.
But he's nicest guy. He completely hooked us up with bikes. We got off the plane. We picked up the bikes. We were on the course, riding the course, and so within literally an hour of getting off the plane.
That's cool.
Stay there for 5 days, and there's just people from all over, just all converge. If you take the ferry from Liverpool, it's about 3 to 4 hours, and you only want to do it if you have a bike. Because if you get on the ferry and you don't have a motorcycle, when you dock,
You look
you
like
get
a
there,
ferry.
everyone is freaking getting on their motorcycle and taking off, and you're like,
I'd be in the back
trying to hail a
puking.
freaking cab, right? So it was better for us. It worked out to fly in and then pick up bikes there. If I had a bike in England, we would have gone to Liverpool and done the ferry thing. But
but there are people that are shipping their bikes from everywhere, right?
yeah, I mean,
Well,
that
for
are
racing,
for
especially.
racing, yeah. And then you can go through the paddock, and all the people in the paddock are so cool. I mean,
Yeah.
and what you got? So you got the bigger teams, right, and the sponsored guys
Yeah.
from from Honda and
Yeah.
all that and stuff. But then you see all the privateers, as they call them.
Yeah.
And these are the family racing groups, right? These are the people that just work all year, and they have other jobs, and they pour all their money into getting the bikes and the parts and setting their racing program up.
Yeah.
And those guys do pretty well. They're not winning, but they're in the top 10, and they're competing, and they have they get a lot of respect from either the locals or. But what's cool too is that you've got all the locals are marshals on the course.
So after doing the sports thing for a while, I decided to go to culinary schools. I went to the Cordon Bleu in Sacramento, and then everything just took off from there. Man, it was a beautiful experience. I think I had like the time of my life that whole year in school. Just every day was something new. Was learning different things, and I'm a people person, so meeting different people and get to go on people's homes and cook and things like that. I never knew food was this powerful.
Quaz, how did the singing chef, as you're known, come about?
Well, when I cook, I listen to music all the time. So it's like, food and music, entertainment. So I'm cooking. It's like, I just, sing to the food, or I just sing, make different comments and things like that. And it caught on. I mean, I wasn't really paying attention to it. And people was like, I love it. And then people was like, they wait for a certain part of the video for me to say certain words or to say this and that. So it just took on its own flavor after that.
That's funny. So I'm assuming it tastes better when you sing to it?
Yeah, it does. Everything tastes better when you sing to
it. That's so good. I mean, I know you sent us some, like Brady, I sent those different videos that Quaz sent, and it was like, how am I going to eat this?
I know. It's bad. And I mean, luckily last time we were all together in a room and you were able to cook for us. So, after talking about all the food that you make and, all that, we got to have some ribs and so I think some chicken wings. And I just remember, I think we, to feed everyone in the crew, we all got like one bite, and it was just like, I could eat a bowl of this. And then of course Scof sends me, videos of just like lamb shanks and all sorts of good food. I'm just like drooling. I'm like, is it?
Yeah. I sent you the Mexican meatloaf, which is just like, I showed that to Judy, and I was like, damn, girl, you got to make this. And the chicken and waffles you sent the the chicken and waffles with that looked just like, that looked to die for. I mean, I've been to chicken and waffles over here at the place Roscoe's, which has always been fantastic for the pandemic, but I got to say that yours look much better, to be honest with you. And then you sent us the crab cakes with the jerk butter and everything, and then and then the pasta.
Stop, Scof.
Normally we drink on this show.
I know.
Because we've been talking about bourbons, right? Now, Freddie, next time we have Chef Quaz on, we're gonna have to just have him prepare some meals for us and eat them while we're talking.
I know.
Yeah, there we go.
Quaz, you need to make some and then like ship it to us, and then we can like reheat it while we're here and just eat it, and you can do all the talking because we'll just be busy eating.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll send an overnight express.
That's awesome.
That's great. And then what about the jerk butter? Tell me about some of these recipes. Like, you've got like some specialty recipes that you've created, or what would you call them?
Butter
Sauces?
right here. It's right here, the jerk butter. How they camera work.
Turn it, move it right. Hang on,
there you go.
there. There we go.
Yeah.
That looks good. Yeah.
I got that, and then I just came out. I got to start promoting. I got the pesto butter too. Like,
ooh.
Wow. I'll turn it the other way. Just turn it right there. Yep. Put it up the camera there. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, so I came about, when the pandemic hit, it was like everything for me stopped, slowed down. So I was like in the kitchen being creative, and I was like, let me come up with something where people can use at home. Everybody gonna be at home, and it was just something for me for the love of food for me to bring it to your kitchen or your backyard, your patio. So it took about 3 weeks to a month to get everything right for the jerk butter, and it just took on a whole nother world of its own, man. It's going crazy right now. Everybody, I mean, I'm doing about 30 to 50 orders a week on the jerk butter.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been a blessing, and I got a couple of celebrities, a couple of rappers that been picking up on it, and they posting videos on Instagram and Facebook Live and on Twitter. So it's going real good. I'm real good.
Scope, I feel like we're becoming like the rap podcast. I mean, we had Shagbag on before, and she's working with like Snoop, and I know last time we talked, Claus, you're working with was it
Ray Shrimmer?
Ray Shrimmer.
Yeah.
It's like, we're just gonna have to start putting out like rap albums or something.
Yeah. No. It's good, man. It's good. I mean, you haven't really been able to go out and see anybody now, huh? You've turned down.
Nah. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I mean, now I think I feel more comfortable now if I have to go out because I understand what's going on now more so than before. Just mask up and got my hand sanitizer, got my Lysol, got my disinfectant bottle. So I feel more comfortable if I do have to go out when that time comes. I'll go out. I feel more comfortable now than I did before.
Yeah. We were talking about a little bit, before jumping on here, but how did COVID affect kind of your business of obviously there was a food shortage at some point where food. You couldn't get anything. Food. How did something like that affect you as a chef?
It put everything on hold. I was cooking for a couple of Sacramento Kings, and I was getting ready to sign a contract with them to cook like 3 days a week, and I had a trip to Miami. I had a cooking show in Nashville, had some stuff in Texas, and when this COVID hit, it's like, and it just put a hold. And then and then at first, as the human side of me, I was mad and upset because like, how it is. You put so much work, you plant so many seeds, and then you stay ready to get ready. So when the things came, I was so excited. Then when this happened, so I had to fall back and just take my emotions out of it because it's something I couldn't control. But it's gonna come again. I'm just waiting. It's gonna come.
Well, yeah, you were like, didn't you win an award in Nashville and when you were in Tennessee?
It was in Philadelphia. Last year, I won an award for the National Black Chef Association. So I went to Philadelphia. I was out there for about almost a week and traveled. It was fun meeting different chefs from all over the country. And so I did that and, going to LA and Atlanta and Vegas and things like that. So, but when this virus came, it stopped a lot of stuff. So, but, I'm okay with it. I'm okay mentally, but I'm okay with it.
A good friend back in the day from Chicago. We hadn't seen each other in a long time. Bumped into each other at a Triumph motorcycle get together at the Ace Hotel. Today we got downtown Scotty Brown in the house.
In the house. Good to be here with you guys.
Yeah. That's probably our best intro for anybody, right?
It really is. It really is.
We got to go. Thanks, man.
It's been fun. It's the summer of Costanza. We're out.
So Freddie, I got to tell you, I was at this get together at the Ace Hotel and I saw this guy and I hadn't seen him a long time and we get talking and I was like, yeah, downtown Scotty Brown. I'm like, I'm Steve Schofield. Back and forth. And next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, I haven't seen you. And I haven't seen you in, I am at the Tempo restaurant.
Oh, my hangout. Well, I ran my business out of there. They had some nice payphones in the back there.
Yeah.
I would just sit in the back table by the payphones and wait for them to ring.
Yeah. So you can only imagine it was always snowing outside in Chicago, especially in the Tempo. You know what I mean?
Sounds like it was snowing inside too.
Yeah.
Oh, I had some crazy times there.
So yeah, so of course it's 4:00 in the morning. You still want to stay out and go to some after party. And of course we're in our our 20s and 30s and things are ripping large and we're going to Crowbar, and then Outtakes. Remember Outtakes? And
Oh yeah, my buddy owned
all
it.
all these different great pubs and clubs, and just the best time to grow up. It really in during that time, and so. I mean, I'll let you. I mean, I know you were. We're all about mobsters on this show. We always like to talk about true crime, and you were living it, buddy. So I mean, I'd love to have you go over like your past and everything, and just give like it's a great story, and he's had a scripts and movies, and talk about them and made about them, and so yeah, go ahead, Scotty.
Well, it's a lot to talk about, but I guess.
Just whisper. I'll listen to you.
I guess it was pretty, my parents were getting a divorce and I wanted out of reality, and I discovered marijuana, and thought I was about 13, 14, and thought, wow, nobody else can get this. If I get it, I'll be able to sell it to my friends. I bought my first bag and split it up and sold it. And I was at Addison Trail High School, and started a lot of guys on the stuff there, and ended up quitting school to sell the drugs. I was making a lot of money, but I started, Bussy Woods was a place where it was like a drug supermarket. So I just set up a stand. I had a sign and everything. I'd open up whatever I had that day. I'd make it up, Panama Red, whatever it was. And one day a guy came up to me. He's like, "Kid, you need more?" And I go, "Of course." He goes, "Okay, follow me." And I go to his house, and it's a safe house for, a guy named like Pablo Escobar.
Jeez.
Really, it was Carlos later, Carlos was a great guy, but he was Pablo's best friend. And they had about, a ton of weed in there. I walked in. The first thing I saw was a Cheap Trick poster, which was cool because I guess that was about 77 or something. They had just come out, and I was more of a punk rock guy, getting into the Pistols and Cheap Trick and stuff. And I was
you were hanging at the exit with Kenny and
Riding along with the song of a wintry fairyland.
I'm out of here on a one-horse open sleigh.
Cozy are we.